Hey guys, it's Young Wealth. Now today I'll talk about something very important regarding Ripple XRP. Now in the title I've said that if you own XRP, you're a target. Now I haven't made that statement to actually scare you out of owning XRP. I haven't made that statement to actually put fear in your heart and sell your XRP. No, once you watch this video, you will understand exactly where I'm coming from right now. The first thing I want to talk about is worldly events, because you have to understand, I think it's very scary and intriguing that a lot of the world events that happen in the real world were predicted by TV programs and the media a decade before they actually happen. It's like they showed it in black and white that this was going to happen, and it actually came through. It came true. Okay. Now with XRP Ripple, it's like they're giving us the answers in black and white, but the masses are going to look past it because it looks so obvious that it feels and seems unbelievable. And that's exactly the same with the programs that were telling people 10 years from now, this will happen in the world. Because it seems so obvious and unbelievable, the masses do not believe it. And that's the reverse psychology. That's the same thing that's going on with Ripple right now, because there's so many answers that everybody should believe that this currency is going to be used. But because people don't want the obvious answer, they will look past it. Now, why am I saying this? Because you have to understand that the article around May 4th, 2021, this is when big news happened for Ripple, because Rosie Rios actually partnered with Ripple and teamed up with Ripple. Now, if you don't know who she is, she's the 43rd treasurer of the US. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because you have to understand, Rosie Rios, if you just go to this tab right here, Rosie Rios is on 1.8 trillion of the US dollars in circulation. Her signature is on 1.8 trillion of the US dollars in circulation. So if you get a US dollar today and you turn it around and you look at the signature, you most likely see Rosie Rios's name on the actual dollar. And she decided to partner with Ripple. But not only did she partner with Ripple, she partnered with them while they were fighting the SEC in a lawsuit. If that's not in black and white for you, I don't know what is, because you have to understand that if a 43rd treasurer decides to partner with a coin that's in a lawsuit, she has to be fully convinced that they won't lose, because if they lose that lawsuit and they go to zero, she will lose a lot of credibility, and there'll be a lot of articles about her saying Rosie Rios partners with a scam coin. Okay, she has to be fully convinced that this couldn't work. Now, one thing you have to understand, that as I said, 1.8 trillion of her signatures is on every US dollar. Like, $1.8 trillion have a signature on the back in circulation. Now, this is where it's going to blow your mind, right? Now, there's only $2.1 trillion in circulation. Okay? She's on 85% of US dollars in circulation. Her signature is on 85% of US dollars in circulation right now, today, as we speak. Okay? Now, why is this very important? Because we have to understand, this is where I'm going to get into why holding XRP can make you a target. Because when you have these large and well-known people and financial people partnering with a team like Ripple, they are not going to do that if they see there's a 10% risk they lose. No, they already know what's going to happen. I feel like it's a whole puppet show where everybody already knows the answers. The big dogs and the whales and the actual large institutions and the banks, they already know how the game's played out. Like, you have to understand, these are people that built generational wealth, so they have the ability to look 100 years from now. So when you see the SEC and the SEC filing lawsuits against XRP, I feel like it's all just a facade to make sure there's as least investors or at least regular people putting their money into XRP as possible. Because if you own XRP and it becomes the actual main utility for cross-border payments, that's what you call a wealth transfer. And why is that a wealth transfer? Because we have to understand, the big bankers and the big institutions, they make their money off money. Okay, they make their money off debt. They make their money off interest. But what will happen if their main reserve currency becomes useless? What will happen if the US dollar goes to zero? What will happen if the US dollar becomes actually useless and it's replaced with an actual bigger and better thing, which is XRP, or this cryptocurrency in general? Okay, that will mean the people that have the biggest shares or the biggest amount of coins in these actual utility tokens that become the main currency will have wealth transfer, because the wealth will be leaving the bankers' hands to actually be transferred to regular people that own, let's say, 10,000 XRP. Okay, because you have to understand, if there's 1.8 trillion dollars in transfers and cross-border payments a day, that will pump the price of XRP to numbers I don't even want to say right now, because it'll get you too excited, right? Like 4 figures, okay? That's a wealth transfer right there. And that's what they are scared of. So they're going to look at you as a target and a threat to their wealth. You have to understand, all the big companies, all the big institutions, they're friends with each other and they talk about these things, okay? That's why they got the SEC to actually file a lawsuit to make it look like this coin is a very unattractive coin to actually invest in, because if people knew the utility and there was no risk and the SEC were not after them, then there will be no reason why people wouldn't have 100% confidence to actually buy this coin. But because there's a lingering fear and uncertainty in the coin that XRP could lose the court case, it's going to deter investors from actually investing, making them less of a threat, because the way they make their money is off debt and interest, okay? And the interest we pay back to these banks. That's how they make the money. If they don't own XRP and the XRP is in the hands of the regular people and the US dollar becomes no value, has no value to it, then what's going to happen is their wealth is going to become worthless, because the money they get is the US dollar. And if the US dollar is worthless and cryptocurrency and CBDCs and Ripple and stuff like that become valuable, that means the wealth has been transferred from one hand to another hand. And that's what they do not want to happen. So before XRP goes to $100, best believe these institutions will have the biggest shares, the biggest amount of coins, okay? And that's how it will be. And you just accept that they will have the biggest ownership over these important assets, okay? Now, one thing you guys must understand about these assets is, when an asset focuses on the growth of the technology and the actual company, that's when there's appreciation. A good asset don't focus on the price. A good asset don't focus on how can we pump the price from $1 to $10. No, that's what a scam coin does. But when there's an actual coin that actually wants to grow in terms of the company and the utility and the partnerships, the appreciation of the price is a byproduct. And that's what you guys must understand. When it's a coin like XRP, they're not really focused on, you don't really hear Brad Garlinghouse talking about, it needs to pump right now. We need to double the price today. I'm a promotion. I'm going to do pump and dumps. No, he's focused on building the actual infrastructure of the actual utility. He's focused on building the partnerships and building the actual technology itself. So the byproduct of this improvement will be appreciation in the price. That's just the byproduct. The main product is not just the price appreciation. The main product is improving the technology. And right now, Ripple is in a position where if today the world decided to shut down every fiat currency and they decided to use Ripple as a standard, it will work like a well-oiled machine. And that's what they cannot have, because a lot of the ownership is in the hands of regular people. And they do not want the US dollar to hold no value and then the wealth transfer happens to people with regular money. Because that will mean they're pretty much broke, because the money they get, or the passive income they get from the US dollar, is pretty much worthless. So that's what can really happen. If the US dollar becomes worthless and people are holding Ripple XRP and it becomes the actual utility token for big banks and large institutions and the Federal Reserve, then that makes their asset, which is debt and USD currency and fiat currency, pretty much worthless. And the people that own the actual utility token that is responsible for cross-border payments becomes the standard. It becomes the actual value. It becomes the actual coin with actual value. Because the only value the US dollar has is backed by faith. It's not backed by gold no more. It's not going to be backed by oil soon because of the things that's going on in Saudi Arabia right now. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to get political, but you have to understand this is where the world's going to come from. This is what's going to happen in the world. When one thing happens, they have to be on the forefront. They have to be the biggest investors. If there's one revolution, they cannot afford to let other people, regular people, take advantage of that revolution. That's why I told you guys to hold your XRP in wallets. So when they decide to blackball exchanges and they decide to shut down apps, you still have ownership of the currency they desire. You still have ownership over the currency that they're going to use in their large institutions, making your asset more valuable than their US dollar. And that's exactly what a wealth transfer is. So I just wanted you guys to understand that you are looked at as a threat for owning XRP. You are looked at as a target because you're actually messing with their money. Because the more people that realize that XRP and cryptocurrency has more intrinsic value and it has more use than a US dollar that can be printed unlimitedly, they're going to understand that we cannot let this get in the wrong hands. And to them, their view is, we cannot let this get in the regular people's hands. So they're going to make it look ugly, unattractive, so they get the opportunity to buy it all, okay? That's what's going to happen, and that's just the truth. So if you want to be smart, I'll tell you guys that you should get a ledger and put your storage in a cold wallet, okay? Put your XRP in a cold wallet, just so if anything ever happened, if worse came to worse and they decided to steal like they always steal, the government don't share, they steal from the regular people and the low poverty people like they always do. Do not expect it to be any different when it comes to crypto. They can shut down the apps, take all the XRP out, and then put it for themselves. People can complain, but if it's the standard, that means they capitalize the most because they own the most XRP. So do not let your XRP be lost or stolen or taken off you. Hold it somewhere safe. So with that being said, it was Young Wealth, and I'm signing out with another video.